Hey everyone, welcome to the Bible Belt Bros podcast. Today I don't have Andrew on here because he didn't answer my text message. So forget him. You guys don't like him anyway. It's cool. But today on the podcast we do have our good buddy, old Ric Hampton. Say hello, Rick.
Hey, and I don't really appreciate the old being in the front of that. Maybe you meant that old, like as an O-L-E.
Like we go back.
Okay, so chum.
Has nothing
friend,
to do with your age.
Okay, got it. All right.
My wife just had her birthday, and she's now older than me again, so I'm married to an older woman.
Cougar.
So,
all right.
Maybe not that much older. But, hey, I have an embarrassing story. Kind of embarrassing.
I love embarrassing stories. Let's get it.
So I was at work yesterday, and I'm printing shirts, and a guy walks in the store, and so I'm walking out. He's like, "Hey, man, my name's Derek," or whatever, and he reaches out to shake my hand. So I'm walking that way. I get blinded by the glare of the sun, and so I kind of, as my hands reached out, kind of pull back a little bit and give him one of those half.
Oh no!
And I was just like, is that awkward moment of, do I tell him I'm not that way?
Can I ask for a reshake?
Can we do that again, please? It was really awkward. So hopefully he doesn't come back. The place in order. Yeah. So
somewhere this morning he's telling a story about. So I went over to Inkwell the other day,
and you would never believe.
Oh my gosh, it was weird.
We used to have the sign that said free hugs free. Had a price list, and then T-shirts this much. Hugs are free, and old ladies love hugs. Right. So we had this older man come in, and he was talking to me about shirts and stuff, and he kind of looked at that, and he's like, "Hugs free, huh? No way!" And he just left, in the middle of our. I was like, "Okay, sir, all right."
Okay. Well, I probably wouldn't have hugged you anyway. If you asked me to, I would have. But wow.
Yeah, I'm not out there begging.
Totally opposed to hugs, I think, was what his problem was.
He is no hugger.
Man.
But it was pretty embarrassing. But so, Rick, you got a podcast coming up. How's that going?
It is going good. I have not figured out a launch date yet. Still working on that. And I have been thinking about a name, because I want to do it right, and I want to do it the way I want to do it, and so I've been thinking about a name, kind of mulling over behind the mic type names, because a lot of it will be stories from my radio days when I was on the radio.
The good old days.
Yeah, and we were talking about that. One of the recordings I did last night, actually, with a guy that I used to work with, and he now works for Tulsa Transit, and totally separate from the business now. Doesn't even really have any ties to it a whole lot either, just kind of like me. And but we were talking about that, and that was probably, and he agreed. He said, of all the times I went to college and different places I've been, he said that was probably the best time I've had is in radio. And it really is, because things happen to you that would never happen in real life, if you will. It just doesn't happen. And so one of the things that I've been doing, we've had some recent deaths in our family and in my wife's family. And it just kind of drove home the importance of getting the stories out. The stories from my days in radio, having other people on to tell their stories and memories that they have about being in radio or TV or whatever, and to get those out where everybody can hear them. And so that's kind of that's where that idea was birthed, was to have those ideas and get those things out. So I've recorded a couple of shows so far. I've got a couple more lined up because I'd like to get about 4 or 5 or so in before I release them. So how
do you ask for guests? Do you say, "Hey, man, before you die, can I get you to record some stuff?"
I will tell you this, that that's funny you would say that, because 2 of the people that I wanted to have on, part of that was when my wife's grandparent, or her grandfather died. He had a great story, and I wanted to hear that. And so he told the story, but I didn't record it. And so I missed out on that.
You idiot.
I know. Yeah. And honestly, it's one of those deals where I will look back on that and that'll be a regret in my life, because it was such a great story about how that her grandfather and her grandmother met. And it was riveting. I mean, and I'm not kidding. It was a fascinating story. So many details. And the fact that he remembered every one of them, it was a great story. So that's kind of what started the whole thing. And I just feel like that I'm, I don't want any of the stories to get lost. So,
well, and as you get older, Rick, you're not remembering things as well as he.
Well, and it's funny too, because last night that I have found that I do remember them, but some of the people that are around don't remember them as clearly as I do. And so, because last night, look, we were sharing stories, and he was like, and I don't remember who it was, but this happened, and I don't remember why we did that, but this happened, and I'm like, oh, I can tell you exactly who it was, and I can also tell you why it happened. And so he said, he goes, oh my gosh, you should be like the historian for these stories, because if you remember them that clearly. And so, but a couple of the guests that I've wanted to have on have passed away. So I'm like, I need to get on this now. And so that's really what started the whole thing, was spurring me on instead of that. But the awkward part of asking, hey, before you die, can you come do this? No. But it is the way that I've been getting the guest is whenever I recorded my first podcast. I have not released it yet, but I posted pictures of some of the recording. And so there have been several of my radio friends that I've had throughout the years who posted on there, liked it, and things like that. And so I've just reached out with the guy last night, Eric Wayne, who I recorded with last night. He liked my status. And so I just sent him a private message, and said, hey, I saw that you liked my status. Why don't you come on the show? And so
that's like a good church also program,
right?
If you like something, like I was watching a live feed or some church, because on Facebook you just scrolling and all of a sudden you're like in church, you're just like all of a sudden stuck in a live feed, and then there was a comment, welcome Dusty, how can we pray for you? And I'm like, what get off here.
No.
You're not supposed to see me in church. that's why I'm watching online.
So yeah, I mean it's and he didn't even hesitate at all. He was like, yeah, sure, name the time and place, and it'd be my honor. So I'm hoping that a lot of my radio friends like that are that way. It means that they'll have to come to Sand Springs to record, but I'm hoping to get several.
Or not, Sand Springs isn't too far away.
Right.
I got a good name for your show.
Okay.
Rick Daddy in the Morning Show.
Rick Daddy in the Morning. Wow. Okay. So that's kind of a meshing between my real name, my on-air name, and then the time of day.
Yeah, so it kind of works in mashup. Nobody else would really know that, but it would be mashup.
Well, the good thing about it is that it being in the morning, if I did record it all the time in the morning, probably wouldn't get very many guests to be able to come out and do it, but my voice would be fantastic, because that is one thing I love about the mornings, is my voice is deeper and it's got more timbre to it. So maybe that'd be it.
And sexy
That's
with
right.
Rick. Sexy time with Rick.
Yeah.
Rick Daddy. Or the good old days with Rick Daddy Hampton.
The good old days with Rick Daddy Hampton. Well, okay. Huh. All right. I'll think
I'm
about
getting
that.
a negative on both of those.
I'll think about that. I'll think about that.
I'll pray about that, which usually means no in the church world.
Yes, it usually does. Yes.
So a few weeks ago, I went and saw the new Star Wars movie, and it's good. I never grew up as like a diehard Star Wars guy. I watched them. They're cool. My son loves them, so that's gotten me back into really watching Star Wars. And the ex-wife took him to the opening of Star Wars, so we had to take him to the Star Wars showing with the recliner chairs.
I started to say, man, I saw some pictures from that outing, and he was styling.
Oh yeah, in 3D at the IMAX, and these chairs bounced and moved around a little bit with the scene. So like, when there was a scene and somebody got punched, your chair would just like vibrate and like shake you like you just got punched. It was pretty cool, like pretty expensive too. And but we one-upped.
But worth it, right?
But worth it, yeah. We win, okay?
Sure.
That contest. My question, Rick, is how long do you think until churches have recliners like that in their auditorium?
I don't know. The more important part is I guess from a technology standpoint, I guess you would have to think about too is then pastors would have to be concerned with the effects track that went with their sermon, because you would have to, you could share in the bass, and I'm all about the subs and bass. I feel like that, our motto at Church That Matters sometimes is haze the Lord. So, haze is very important.
Even if the Holy Spirit isn't present in your worship service, we try to make it present.
Right.
We make it a little cooler by the end of the service. We have the haze. We have the light.
Well, and
angelic
I think too,
music playing.
Right. And I think too that I believe that God talks through subs and the bass. So I feel like that if the subwoofers and stuff don't work, maybe God didn't show up that day.
And those chairs that move, it kind of gives you that. Like when it's time to raise your hand, there's like a jolt.
Oh, yeah.
People's hand would just go up.
Right. So it'd
just
be, I see that hand. I see that hand. I see that hand. Okay, well, that might work. I mean,
we get more people coming to Jesus every service.
Wow. So that's not bad an idea, actually. I may submit that to the facilities department to find out, because that wouldn't be a bad idea. That vibrating recliners, and of course there would be those that would go to sleep. Fight it now. That would really make it easy for them to go to sleep. So,
yeah. Well, a couple weeks ago, I went to a comedy show in Dallas, and so that Sunday morning we went to a cowboy church.
Oh.
And there's the guy, the Cowboy Dave. I don't know what his name was, but he was giving a sermon and he was using his friend as an illustration. He looked over and his friend was asleep, and those were pews. So, so I don't know. If the recliners...
So let's back up a little bit here. So you went to this comedy show, which I know, and you love the comedian.
With Nate Bargatze he's a very funny dude.
And so you decided that when you so you would go to a cowboy church?
Well, okay.
What was that conversation like?
Well, it was more of Shay's grandparents live in Dallas now.
Okay.
And they happen to be going to this cowboy church.
Ah, okay.
And we can't go to Dallas and not see them.
Right.
And it's Sunday. So.
Okay.
Hey, you should come to church. The band is just a rocking, and they're good folks, that kind of. So yeah, I'll get my boots. Let's go, Grandpa.
I started to say, so a lot of churches have like walk-in music, walk-in song, walk-in music, or whatever. Yeah. So did they play the theme to the TV show Dallas for this?
No, there really wasn't a pre-service music.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was very informal.
I see.
Take normal church back about 10, 15 years. Okay. And that's kind of
So when it started up, then it was, all right, get along, you little doggies, and let's get this show on the road.
The pastor was the electric guitar player. Pretty good, by the way. Yeah. And
nice.
I would say there was a little bit of country song. One of the singers was a bass player with his khakis pulled up pretty high. That just kind of shows your age a little bit.
Yeah.
And then, but hair down to his khakis.
Wow.
And a cell phone clip outside his belt.
Yes.
So it was just.
Let me guess, the size of a gun holster. Yes, of course.
And and it was kind of weird because churches now are more seeker friendly. We don't want anybody to feel uncomfortable. We want them to feel like they're going out with the family or wherever they normally go. And so, but this was like, all right, guys, before we get started, we're going to start like we start every week. Let's women go over here, men go over here. Let's circle up for a prayer time.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, okay.
Wow. All right. Well, You know what? That's good. I guess it's always good to start with prayer.
And there was an unspoken, those prayers. That's just always funny. Like
my favorite though, whenever those happen, are not the unspoken. My favorite are the ones that get spoken. But it's just really more of a way for whoever it is, like Sister So-and-so, to air out all the dirty laundry. Yeah. So she goes through the entire thing. Pastor, I've got a prayer request. Just want you to be with Darren. He's having problems with gambling. He's seeing 3 women on the side, and he's drinking a lot more. And he has now turned to heroin. So we just need to pray for him. When there was really no need for any of that. But
this is a good opportunity to gossip.
Yeah,
is what prayer time
it
is.
gets it all out there.
Yeah.
So.
But my goodness. It was great. The people are good, and that's why.
Yeah.
That's why people they're real. They're not. Yeah. They're not putting on the front, and it was just a good experience.
I do know a lot of people. There's actually a cowboy church over in Yale, Pastor Michael Clark, and he's a good guy, and it's a good church. So
Read and Rope, cool. I think, is one of their events where they read the Bible together and then they go roping.
Nice. Nice.
Is that what they call it? I don't know.
Yeah, no, yep.
Yeah. All right. But there's like something every day of the week, some sort of outdoor thing. And there was a
Bible and barrel racing. There are plenty of things.
There was a cat, just an outdoor cat that I guess hangs out around the church area, and it was like it snuck inside the church. I guess
a cowboy church cat.
Yeah, and so he was like running around in the back of the stage while the pastor was preaching, and then they had somebody go and like try to catch the cat.
Oh, well, that's even better.
Very informal,
Yeah.
Like where those are a lot of red flags nowadays in churches that you're normally a part of, where something goes off schedule or
right.
Then
it's a catastrophe. But
yeah, it's like, oh my gosh,
this is just instead of a catastrophe, this is just a cat. So,
which is by some pastors' opinions from the devil anyway. So it was,
right.
it was more of that. So, but the topic I really want to kind of get into today with you, Rick, is there's a kid at my work. Sparks up some. If you listen to some of the conversations we have at work, I don't know where they come from. Like I'm sitting at my desk and I hear some conversations and I'm like, what the heck is that? One of the conversations was talking about millennials. Let's just hammer on millennials.
Right.
My age is kind of right above that line. Some people put me as the very first millennial. I don't know, but I don't think I would fit with these people,
right?
But there's the conversation that they were having was, my rights, women's rights, my rights, my right to speed, my right to say what I want, or my right to tell, to not get involved, my right to get involved. And he was using an example of, let's say I saw somebody get murdered. And the cops asked me, did you see something? I have the right to not get involved with this. I was like, well, you do, but
right.
Not. You might also be an accessory to murder by withholding information from the police.
Yeah, I am no law enforcement expert by any means, but if nothing else, to me, that falls under kind of a moral obligation, though, of you're right. You don't have to get involved, if you don't want to, but why wouldn't you? If you knew you saw somebody get murdered and you knew who did it, why would you not get involved?
Exactly. Well, and the problem is just because you have a right doesn't mean that you're right, you know, and just you have a right to feel to go to whatever church you want to. You have a right to work wherever you want to work, but doesn't make those jobs or feelings valid, I guess, in your life. And so I don't know. It's just really interesting in today's world how everybody's concerned about what their right is. Like Christians, obviously, pro-life is kind of the women's rights thing, like with the abortion stuff. And it's just hard, that's the same thing that you just said follows into that. Well, morally,
right?
Just because it's your right doesn't mean that you should just do it.
Well, and I mean, millennials do have that attitude on some things, but I've known Generation Xers even that have that same feeling, have that same philosophy of I just don't want to get involved, and I think that by doing that sometimes, like for instance, my deal. I'm the guy that will say something if I'm out at a restaurant with my family and there is a group of guys, girls, anything cursing next to me. I'm okay with the, few words, which honestly I shouldn't be because I don't curse and I don't talk like that in front of my family. And my daughter doesn't hear that language very often. And so, and I'm not going to say she doesn't hear it because I've been to school and I've been around kids that she goes to school with.
Yeah.
I'm telling you what, I would wash the mouth out with soap if they talk like that around me but I do that. And so I speak up. But the reason I speak up is because morally for me, that's not in alignment with that. So I guess really it's kind of a character and a moral issue of, do you legally have the right to not say anything and not get involved? Yeah, I think you do. But morally, I don't think you do. And so is that a case of missing morals? Or is it a case of, like in millennials situations, where it tends to be, and we pigeonhole them into sometimes of them being lazy or not caring, but still want all the benefits, that go with hard work and stuff like that.
I saw a meme of the Tide Pod challenge is a big thing right now. Mm-hmm. Those are the same people that want free healthcare, right? Just like, right. No, I'm not paying for you're stupid,
right? and that's exactly it. But that is true. That is exactly what they want is to be that in that situation. So, what did you get involved in the conversation? Did you talk to him about it?
I didn't. I just said more just what I just reiterated was, there might be consequences. You you have a right to make a decision. You have a right to murder somebody in some aspects, but there's still consequences for you having that right. I guess it's
right.
Kind of what I said, and he was like, "Oh, okay, makes sense."
Right. Do you really think he made sense to him, or he was just saying it for you to be quiet?
No, I think he's just saying it like, okay, whatever, but I'm right somewhere. Right.
Well, see, I don't get that. I don't understand that very well, because that is the truth. I don't get the whole concept of the rights. I guess, yes, we do have some rights in this country, a lot of rights, I guess, but I don't understand why they're just, well, you owe me this. I should be able to do this. Why can't I do this? And then if you tell them that, and if you tell them no, then it's crazy. Yeah. There's a video going around right now, the millennial job interview, and
have not seen that one.
And it's a girl who goes for a job interview, and he's going over, the things that he's probably, the guy that's trying to hire her is probably, in his late 50s, early 60s, for a nice job. And so she's telling him all the things she won't do as far as, the job goes. And it's easy stuff like, well, I mean, you're going to need to type this and make sure that this report's ready. And type? What? I'm not going to type, and different things, talks about that. Can't figure out certain things, certain subjects, but she can tell you what her favorite coffee drink order is, with precise detail.
Right.
And then he mentions, I'm going to need you to be here at 8:00 every morning. Whoa, 8:00? I don't really get out of bed till about 10:30, and then I go by Starbucks and get my drink.
Ermager.
Right. And so it's funny because once he gets to the point where he says, you know what? After hearing all of this, I'm pretty sure that this isn't going to work out. Then she goes sideways and starts accusing him of hurting her feelings and how, I can't believe, are you firing me? And he's like, we haven't even agreed on you working here. You don't work here. Oh my gosh, you are firing me. Are you kidding me?
This is an interview, lady.
Right. So, I mean, there is some privilege there that I don't understand where it came from. And the only thing I can think of is that a lot of it was parents gave it to them. You know, I mean, being in the music business and hearing kids sing, there are a lot of kids. I'm sorry if it hurts your feelings, but there's a lot of kids that do not have any business behind a microphone, singing into a microphone because they can't sing.
Oh,
but
man,
mommy
Rick.
has told them that they can sing. And so therefore they are a superstar and their feelings are instantly hurt if you say anything about, well, you know, like Randy Jackson used to say, oh, you're a little pitchy dog, you know, whatever. I mean, they get mad and, you know, well, my mama said that I can sing really good. Well, your mama lied to you. So, you know, she should have told you the truth. So my opinion, but I think that if we had a lot more parents that actually said, no, don't do that, I think there would be fewer millennials that didn't care, because I think a lot of it's they've been raised that way.
So it's the parents' fault.
Yeah.
The parents, when you complain.
It's always a parent's fault, right? I mean,
right. Something like that.
You know, even when a kid gets in trouble, they get mad at the parent because, you know, I mean, like, I'll be honest, my daughter does that all the time, you know? She gets caught doing something and she's not supposed to do, and she's instantly mad at me, you know? Well, whatever. I'm like,
you didn't tell me.
Right. Excuse me, but you have no business being mad at me. I didn't do that. So.
Oh, man.
But don't get me started on that, because that's a whole different show.
Yeah. Parenting with Rick Daddy.
Oh, my gosh. No, that would be a bad thing. You do not want my opinion on that.
This is random, but have you ever seen Curb Your Enthusiasm?
Yes.
Do you like that show?
I do.
Yeah. I listened to a podcast called Origins, I believe is what it was called. Mm-hmm. On our way back from Dallas. We just went through a whole season of this podcast about behind the scenes story of that show and stuff.
Oh, wow.
It was very interesting, so I started watching it. I just wondered, because it's got a lot of naughty language.
Yeah.
But it seems like a show that you would like, because it's just random, funniest.
Because I'm random and funny? Yeah.
Kind of.
Let me guess. There's a conversation that needs to be had.
Yes.
Rick, you may think you're funny, but you're really not. You have no business being
Mommy
behind
told
a
you that
microphone.
you were funny, but your jokes are not funny. Well, it just that show is funny because he is a comedian, professional comedians, made millions or dollars, you know, from the show Seinfeld. And so, but he so many times, like every episode, he is offending somebody because of them not thinking he's funny or not getting the joke, you know.
Yeah, the humor that he's using.
Yeah, like there was an affirmative action joke where this black dude was a doctor or something like that, and he was like, "Oh, even with the affirmative action stuff," and so then it came into this racist rant, and he's like, "Oh, I'm just joking around, like that's how I cope and stuff," and then it just didn't go well, you know.
Wow.
But and people and they're just like the whole time they're like, why do you say these things? And he goes, I don't know. It just, you know, it comes off the top of my head. You know.
So is this really a random subject, Dusty, or are you trying to say something?
No.
Is my radar not up yet enough?
Shut your dirty mouth, Rick Daddy. I'll edit this to where you said it and turn the tide. Anyway.
Turn the tide? Okay, well, as long as it's not a Tide Pod, I guess we're okay.
Well, that's probably good enough for now. I got to get to work.
It's probably good enough for now.
We got to get off of here, and maybe I'll have you on again. We'll see how it goes. But before we go, do you want to do the Tide Pod challenge real quick?
Sure.
No.
No.
We're not going to endorse Oh my gosh, that's probably it.
You remember that whole inappropriate thing?
That was a joke
that didn't go well. Yeah, that probably is it. Yeah.
All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. We love the fact that, the 4 of you guys are listening with us. If you have any questions or anything.
There's 4 now?
There's 4 now.
Sweet.
Yeah. My dad, my grandpa has sometimes.
And your wife, until she hears you say she's old. And then
me. Like, I'm actually one of those.
Right. Because I probably won't listen.
Well, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
Good.